We're working on replacing the door latch on a 2006 first gen Tundra, um, double cab. Part number is 69304-OCO10. Lock sub assembly front left. On this particular model, you can buy just the sub assembly and not the whole kit and caboodle that has the actuator attached to it. Some you apparently have to buy it that way. Anyway, so this is the new one installed. The white springs back, and all the plastic is obviously there because this was installed a couple hours ago. So when I shut the door, it would sound like metal on metal when it hit the actual latch. So the old one here, I don't know if you see it, all the plastic's busted off, it's all gummed up, and it doesn't return at all. It just kind of stays where it wants. You kind of have you got to use quite a bit of force to get this thing to move. It's just cut it up. I'm sure it'll still work if it's cleaned up, but for $102 and 20 more years, I didn't think it was that big a deal. So I've got the little push pins out here of the door. Screw here, tweeter cover is off. Tweeter cover has this little tab right there and a little foot there. The foot goes here, the little tab pushes into this circle here. That needs to come off. This piece here does the screw in the middle, obviously, and then you need to take a pick or a very thin flathead screwdriver, get in between this little black piece here. It's where that will snap in. I don't know if you can see that right there. They will crack over time. These are old parts, it's old plastic, so be gentle with it. If you kind of insert a pick here and just slightly lift up and pull out at the same time, you'll get the top, and then you can kind of push down on the bottom and it'll come out. Don't force that piece, because I don't even think they make those in anything but tan anymore. So now that we've got all the door card stuff out, I'm going to take a flat pry tool. Watch for falling clips. You almost always pop one. If you slide around and hit a spot, you'll either know where you need to pry it or one will fall out for you. There's another one. They're not broken, they just fall out. So. Alright, your power locks, if you get a tool in here, slide around to the front. Tab right here. It's a metal tab on the front and back. It just kind of pops in underneath the plastic. Then you find your electrical connector, push it, connector, pull it out. Not that big a deal, pretty self-explanatory. Pull your door card up. Gotta disconnect the little light that goes here before you try to pull this thing off. Now, kind of get into the interior of the door, where this might be harder to see. So, to get the door lock mechanism off, you have 3 T30 Torx head screws holding that in. They should have Loctite on them. They don't come with new screws, so you'll need to put Loctite them on to reinstall it. This screw needs removed because it all holds this whole plastic deal together, and that part is actually, it's on the outside of the door. It kind of sits like that. That little foot, that's where that screw goes. This is a horrible video. So this screw needs to come out, these three, this nut, and then this bolt here. This bolt and this nut hold on the window run track. There's a rubber window run back in here that is in your way to get to the lock mechanism, the rods, the little clips that hold the rods into the door handle moving parts. This, anything else does not need to come out. That's regulator stuff. Your window will fall if you pull all this shit apart for no reason. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things to take apart on the outside, and then you'll get into the inside. I don't know if you can see this or not. Let's go back in there. The rod with the pink capture nut thing on it is going to the exterior door handle key lock. This one with the white on it, I can't. The other rod, there's a thicker rod in there. It goes through the handle to open the door. You can see how it kind of pull off the little capture nuts, but they're easier to get to once all this black plastic is out of the way. So let's start taking that off and see how that goes. See if you can see that. Make it a little easier on somebody. It's not really that difficult, but that screw I just took out goes into a plastic insert, so it's a coarse thread. Let's go here. Now this track's not going to fall because it's encapsulated by rubber, but you do need it out of your way. On the back side of your door handle, there's 3 little kind of L-shaped tabs. You need to slide them backward and pull it out. Get this plastic keeper out for your 2 cables. Pull it through plastic here. There they are. There's little keepers that go in these 3 holes here. These little tabs, so they go in and slide forward. On the back of this, it's pretty self-explanatory. The black goes where the black goes. One's threaded, and the spot that it goes has got these little threads more or less, and this one pops in there. This little rod by my index finger, you have to be able to move that rod forward, and then you can slide it out of the hole. It's pretty self-explanatory also. When you get in here, it's like this piece comes off after you get that screw off for that bolt set. Track. It's a good time to clean the track and lube the track. Not the metal part so much, but the actual rubber track will bind if your window is having issues going up and down. This rubber right here will either get torn sometimes, which means it probably needs replaced, or you can clean it, and then you can see that it slides through there. So the metal part needs to get out of the way. And then this will get all gunked up. This is not even a year old, so, but it'll bind, and then your window will drag, and then when it goes up, it doesn't have gravity helping it. So mine was actually torn in there, so it would bind up inside the track, the actual rubber would, and it would slow the window down severely. So we're gonna work on getting the mechanism itself out, and I'll kind of show you how the plastic goes around it, and as best I can. You're gonna get these little tabs, the white clip right there off of the rod. It swings out that way. The pink one, I don't know if you can see with my finger in the way. Same deal, but it swings toward you like that. And the rods will just, the pink one for the outside door handle will just fall out. Once you've got the 3 bolts on the outside and the jam disconnected, and those 2, that's the only thing that's holding it on besides a little foot that goes in here. So now you've got the mechanism free. The rods kind of want to catch on everything in the door, so just kind of, you got an electrical connector here, and you can wiggle it off. Mine kind of, the cover itself kind of cracked earlier. Well, this is the new one. Looking at the old one, there is a screw that goes in this top hole right here on my thumb that holds this top piece of plastic to the, this screw passes through, holds this top plastic cover on. And there's another screw here and another screw here that hold the actuator or motor to your actual mechanism here. So we'll pull those out. They're really small. Don't lose track of these screws. So that one, and then one right here on the back side of the plastic holds this cover on. The cover's kind of, so you can see the 2 rods split the cover. There's a hole here and a hole here. The thicker rods for the inside, they literally can't be crossed. You'd have to bend the shit out of them to cross them. So you kind of finagle this thing off. When you get the new mechanism here, this one's all nice and clean and shiny, so you take off this screw and this screw to get your actuator off of your old door lock mechanism. All it comes with is this piece here, these 2 cables. This one's connected. This rod here with the little offset cable isn't connected to anything when you get the part. It goes into this little white hole here, and you'll see how that works. So when you take the mechanism off, that's what locks your door. If this little ball and socket deal is not in the right spot, first of all, it won't really go together correctly. Second of all, it won't work. So I don't know if you can see how right here there's a little ball here, the ball, and then there's a little rectangular hole. The ball goes in this part here, kind of sits in this little outside lever, this kind of triangular tip with the offset cable that goes into it. It goes into that rectangular hole. So you insert that there. Make sure the ball and this are kind of lined up. It just kind of goes together. It's pretty simple. You'll see it if you do one of these. The biggest struggle is going to be finding a part and making sure you get the right one. I called several dealers, and their sites were telling me, you know, even after putting in your VIN, that it didn't fit my truck at the end, even though putting the VIN in, putting the part in my cart, it said this, you know, before I put it in my cart, it said it fits my truck, and then I get to the very end and it was a, this part may not fit your truck. So I called, and the guy was like, yeah, it pretty much does that with every part. We're having a lot of trouble with that. I'm like, well, that's handy because no one's going to buy anything. I didn't say that to him, but anyway, so we need to put these black covers back on, right? So kind of let gravity do its deal. Slide it up over. So it's kind of an L shape. A little screw here at the bottom. This thing is like, just trying to like herd cats with this deal. Every time I try to put these little screws in with the magnetic tip on my drill, it just wants to wander wherever the hell it wants to go. So we're going to start them by hand. Maybe. You're fucking kidding me. They're probably like a number 1 tip, maybe. It's a small Phillips head, but I don't feel like you want to find one, so. And the other one, this all kind of fits together. This little foot fits down in this groove when you're putting this mechanism back together. It's almost idiot proof, and I can do it. So now on the back side by the mechanism, you've got all these triangle of holes here. The screw goes in the most outboard hole, and if you line it up with the plastic, it's hard to see because everything is black, but black and shadowy and whatnot. Start it by hand. If you're using a magnetic tip, it'll save you a little headache. Alright, so we're putting this back in the door. Kind of flip the rods up. So when you've got everything together, your little ball and socket deal that I was showing you, you should feel a click with that. The smaller of the 2 rods when you push it up and down. That's the door lock. If it doesn't feel like that, then you did something wrong. Just kind of drop it back in. You can either hook the rods up first to kind of support the weight, so you can put the the door jamb 30 torques on. The bigger rod's easier to get it in place and it doesn't fall out. plastic's a little forced to put it in, so that might be the way to go. Put the big rod in first. Put the second rod in its little keeper deal second, and then go to the outside. Or these three. So there's your two rods. Pink one's in the back. This is a horrible video. A big rod kind of supports it, but it's obviously still loose. So now we need to work on this little foot here so that hole can line up. As you can see, it moves as an assembly. So don't put this in first. Go to your 3 T30 Torx head bolts. Put them back in. I would start these by hand, tighten them all a little bit here until they all kind of start finding a home. Don't go ram one in and then have it sitting cockeyed by some fucked up chances. You don't want to mess up one of these mechanisms. They're hard to find, and then obviously you might have to pay again depending on how bad you screw it up. I don't think the Loctite was dry yet, so hopefully we're fine. I can always pull these out if it comes loose, but it hasn't come loose in the 10 or so years I've owned the truck. So, alright, so you got your little black plastic cover here, the one with the little tab. Kind of slides over the piece that's in the door, and then it lines up with this plastic nut here. That's the coarse thread one. We'll switch back to the 10mm socket. The rest is 10mm stuff. This goes here. This, the one with the washer, the nylon washer goes down here. The nylon washer is to protect your paint. So that's your door track. Let me get it lined up first, otherwise this isn't going to work. So this, the track has to go in after the rods are in place, because if it goes between the outer part of the door and the rod, they won't. This metal track will be in the way of the rod reaching where it needs to reach. So the hardest part of this whole thing is lining this top nut up. Kind of got to stare through the hole, get it to go, and then I would suggest putting your hand on the back side here, pulling the track, starting that nut, and taking the nylon one, lining it up where you can see it. You've got two little grooves here on the plastic just for the rods and the cables, rather. Keeps them from flapping around in the door or what. They don't really actually feel like they stay in there very well. So it shouldn't cross. It doesn't fit like the other one does for whatever reason. So, put this through the plastic before you line it all back up. It's harder, obviously, with the plastic on it. Get them in place and then slide it forward. And you probably have to go put your rod back in this keeper here. Don't forget to connect your electrical connector. That your door locks aren't going to work unless you do it manually. That's pretty easy to connect. It's harder to get off than it is to put back on. Alright. pretty easy. Hopefully this is shorter than the last one. So connect your little entry light or whatever this is called on the lower part of the door panel. This kind of goes up and hooks on. Easiest way to tell if everything's lined up is kind of peek around the corner here. Find your red feet, and if they're not lining up with the holes they go in, then you need to do some adjusting, which reminds me I need to put some of these back on. They're pretty easy to put back on. So. I don't ever push on these until I can kind of see where they're at. See, that one just popped off because it wasn't lined up. I can't get the camera down here, but you'll see it. You kind of wiggle the panel. My cable doesn't have a spot to keep it, so it kind of gets in the way sometimes. Alright. For the little sword pushing things here, you need them apart like that when you're putting them in. There's only two of them. Go in these holes here, push them in, and then you push the centerpiece in. You push it in too far, then it's actually releasing how it's supposed to work. It will just be flush. So if you can pull it back out with your fingernail, you've pushed the centerpiece in too far. That's pretty easy. We don't need any of this stuff. Switching back to a Phillips. I did forget a bolt. That's neat. Yeah, let's go back and get it out. Glad I didn't put the door handle on yet. I wonder if I can get it without taking the whole thing off. I bet I can. No, I can't. Shit. Yep. Red clip number 432 has left the chat. Be a good idea to get a hold of some of these. Good, I'm actually missing one. That's stupid. Let's go put you up here. I forgot the bolt that goes right where the little foot is on the new mechanism. It probably would have rattled like hell too. Easy enough. Alright, let's try this shit again. Yeah, I know. I need to put more. I don't even know what this is. Some kind of sticky sealant that doesn't hold for shit. Alright. What's going on here? Line those up with the hole again. The hole again. You can kind of feel it if you move it up and down. There. That was easy enough. Anyway, so I got a fly in my ear, sorry. hopefully this helps somebody. It's pretty self-explanatory, but the door shuts a million times better after. Can't really test your lock until, I mean, you can test it, the mechanical side of it, but you can't really test much. You would just lock it and unlock it, shut the door, try to open it from the outside. If it's locked and you can't get in, then it's working right. All right. So these are pretty, like, be careful with this piece. I need to hunt one down before I can't. It's got a foot on it also, so it'll snap in, but it has to hook into the piece that's in the back side of the door, otherwise nothing's gonna work. So I need a camera that I can just attach to my head. You kind of gotta take it. Don't do this to me. And make sure your hole's lined up. That'll also ensure that your tabs are in the right spot. But if you pull the handle back too far, it'll move the actual piece that you need to stay in place. So have it at an angle. There's a little foot on the back of this. It needs to go into the piece that's already attached to the door. And keep that all together. Your little black screw there. The biggest screw goes in the biggest hole here. Son of a bastage. Probably didn't need to go that many ugga-duggas. This guy here, go in at an angle, you can kind of see the lower foot, and then you can see the tab that you're going to pop in, find its home, and you're pretty much done. All these other little plastic pieces are idiot proof. One goes here, one goes here, and then you're done. So now we will kind of I would have to slam this, and sometimes I could still pull it apart. So, there's an adjustment on this in the factory service manual. You loosen this and it shows you hitting it with a plastic hammer. I don't think I need to do that right now until I don't think I'm going to do it, so that's an option, but it doesn't look super scientific in the manual, so I wouldn't mess with it. Thanks for watching.